This is the story of Isaac, the son of Abraham and Sarah. 6:4. Before Christ, Sarah was barren. She couldn't give birth to children. It was not because she didn't want to have children, but her body simply wasn't able. When Sarah saw that she was getting older and she still did not have children, she grew impatient and frustrated with God. "How long, O Lord, will you wait to have mercy on me? Will I remain childless until I am old and unable to have children?" Then the Lord said to her, "In a year I will return." And Sarah, as it had been a year now, she conceived and she gave birth to a son in her old age at the proper time, at the set time of life, when people's strength is spent. She conceived and she gave birth to a son for her. And Sarah laughed, saying, "God has made me laugh. Everyone who hears will laugh with me." But the angel said, "Sarah will indeed have a son, and will give him the name Isaac, meaning laughter." So they called his name Isaac because they said, "God has brought laughter into our old age. We shall laugh with him." Now, this is where things get interesting. Sarah was well advanced in years, and childbearing was already very difficult for women in those times. And for Sarah it was impossible. Yet God did what he said. But why did God do this? Why did he make Isaac after so much waiting? To be honest, we don't know. But we do know the reason why God told them to call his name Isaac. You see, God knew from the beginning that there would be many obstacles, many challenges for this boy to overcome, for this family to overcome. There would be many situations where they would have to laugh. There would be many times where they would need to rejoice despite the circumstances they were going through. And also, there would be many situations where they would just need to trust God for a miracle. And what do we see in Sarah's life? A woman who trusted God for a miracle. Now, when she heard God's promise, she believed him even though it seemed impossible. Sarah knew that she was too old to have a baby. She knew that her body was incapable of bearing a child. But even though she laughed because she thought it was impossible, she believed God. Even when others thought it was crazy, even when others said it was impossible, even when her own mind said it was absurd, she still believed God. You may feel right now that what God promised you seems impossible, or what you desire to see happen is out of reach. But my friend, never ever doubt his word. Never ever think that it's too late. Never ever say that your situation is hopeless. You see, it doesn't matter how hopeless your situation might seem. It doesn't matter how difficult your situation might be. It doesn't matter how hard it might be to believe God's promises when they seem so distant. What matters is that you trust God for the impossible. When Isaac was weaned, so Abraham held a great feast in the tent of God. This is how it says in Genesis. "And when it came to pass that Isaac was weaned, then Abraham held a great feast in the tent of God. And Abraham said, God has granted me this child, my son Isaac. A wonderful thing he has done for me. For he has heard my voice and the sound of my complaint. And he looked up and saw the multitude of the stars, and he said, How many are my offspring, if one can count the host of heaven and the sand that is on the seashore?" Abraham had every reason to be grateful. After so many years of waiting, God had finally answered his prayer. Abraham and Sarah had every reason to rejoice. They should have been filled with joy. And they were. But Abraham knew that this was not the end. This was not the finish line. This was just the beginning. You see, Isaac's life was threatened from the moment that he was born. Let me explain. When God told Abraham to sacrifice Isaac, Abraham left everything behind. He left the comforts of home, he left the familiar fields, and he followed God's voice, which led him to a place called Moriah. In Genesis 22, verse 2, it says, "And he said, Take now your son, your only one whom you love, and go for yourself, seek a land in the region of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering." Wow. Can you imagine how hard it was for Abraham to leave Isaac behind and go all the way to Moriah knowing that he was gone to sacrifice him? Abraham was willing to let go of everything. He was willing to walk alone in the desert without Sarah. He was willing to face the unknown without Isaac. He was willing to grieve the loss of his son for the sake of God's plan. And this is where it gets so beautiful. Despite all the pain, despite all the suffering, Abraham didn't murmur, he didn't complain. Instead, he believed in God's plan, and he walked forward. My friend, no matter what you're going through, remember that God has plans for you. No matter how difficult your situation might be, remember that God wants you to trust Him. No matter how much it hurts, no matter how much you might want to give up, don't. Keep going, because God is worthy to be praised. It says in Isaiah 40:28, "Have you not observed that these people are saying the Lord has rejected the two clans of Israel, Judah and Israel, He chose? Thus He made this proverb for the Assyrian, and He despised my people so that they are no longer a nation in His sight. Thus He has rejected my people so that they are not a people in His sight." After this incident, Abraham built altars wherever he went, but especially in Beersheba. First, we see this in Genesis 22, verse 19. "So Abraham went after them, and built an altar there, and called on the name of the Lord." Abraham lived among the Philistines in Gerar, near Beersheba, and during his stay there, he built altars to God, acknowledging God's greatness and power over his life. Also, we read in chapter 26, verse 25, "Then from there he went to Beersheba and built an altar and called on the name of the Lord." During his journey, Abraham continued to worship God, building altars at various places, including Beersheba. Why did Abraham build so many altars? In the Bible, an altar represented a place of sacrifice and prayer. By building altars, Abraham was dedicating these places to God, declaring that God was supreme and worthy of worship. It was a way for him to connect with God and acknowledge God's role in his life. Building altars was not only a physical act, but also a symbolic representation of Abraham's faith and devotion to God. Each altar stood as a testament to Abraham's belief in God, His promises, and his willingness to worship God no matter where he was. Through these altars, Abraham expressed his gratitude, sought God's presence, and offered sacrifices as acts of worship and fellowship. The altars became tangible reminders of Abraham, his relationship with God, and his commitment to follow God's will. As a man of faith, I encourage you to build altars in your life. Build altars in your heart, in your actions, and in your prayers. Make God's worship and presence a priority in every aspect of your life. Commit yourself to living a life that honors God and reflects your faith in Him. Just like Abraham, may your altars be a constant reminder of your devotion to God, and may they serve as a foundation for a strong and unwavering relationship with Him. I hope this message has blessed you. Remember, God is worthy to be praised. Have a great day. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this with your friends and family. And if you want to see more videos like this, follow for more Bible stories.